On today's episode, I talk about fear and caring about what other people think. This one kind of goes all over the place, but I think it is something that we can all relate to. This is Rooted with Robert, reminding you to breathe that joyous air around us and embrace each moment. Welcome back to Rooted with Robert. This is episode dos for my Spanish speakers, due for my Italian speakers, and two for my English speakers and everybody else out there. Much love to everyone right now listening, tuning in. I just want to say a quick thing to address before I get into this. My last podcast was recorded with a different microphone, so you can tell the sound difference. So this microphone is going to be the one that's going to be used from here on out. And if anything, it's probably going to get a little better as time goes on, but this is what I have to work with. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there and start off just to address the elephant in the room. The quality of the last recording was pretty bad, but it was just an introduction, so I think it all works out. So fear. Fear is what I want to talk about today. This has been something that's been on my mind a little bit lately, more so because I've been kind of overcoming certain things myself. So it's just been more prevalent in my life. But the more I think about it, the more I just see how relatable it is, and how if I'm doing it, if I'm facing some things, other people are too, because we are humans. Not everyone is not what I'm saying, but other people are definitely going through that same type of motion. So, I just kind of like to address these things and bring them to the forefront, because I think, especially along my journey here, it's just, those are things I just need to face, so I don't know, fears are interesting. I guess they have so many different forms. You have the surface fear of like a spider, snake, stuff like that. Those are fears. And then you have like the deeper fears of like fear of social rejection, or with low self-esteem, you just fear what other people think of you and fear humiliation. And then there's also the deeper fear, which is like fear of death, which can cause a lot of limitations on you and stuff like that, and can hold you back. So I kind of want to talk about more like the deeper fear. I think those are definitely more interesting. So I'll start off with the fear of other people. I mean, I definitely had that as a kid. I think many people can relate to this. Have you ever just, when you were younger in school, you just didn't feel like you wanted to talk to anyone? I don't know, it's weird. I was cool with everyone, nice guy and everything, but there's just this level of anxiety that went along with social connection. And that was just me personally, but I know other people are similar to me. There's so many people in the world, how they're not. And they're definitely suffering through this type of stuff. So I'm telling you guys, just hit it on the head. And the best way to kind of conquer a fear is just to face it. And that's, it's really hard though. I can understand that. A lot of this stuff comes from, you've been living a certain way for so long that now you gotta, do the opposition. It's never easy mentally. But I think hitting it on the head is really the best route to go. So what I did was I just started talking to more people, started practicing better eye contact as I got older, and just doing that stuff like that. And it works, you just got to face it. I had a lot of different small fears here and there, and all you got to do is do it, and then you just feel better. I mean, I just remember back as a kid, me and my cousin Robbie would just mess around all the time and just do riskier things than my ordinary child life would consist of when we weren't hanging out. And I just remember I would just have this fear of doing the action, which would basically equate to a lack of commitment, and lack of confidence in my performance. So I would always fail at a task at hand if I went in with that idea. Whereas my cousin's really good at just going with it, just not even thinking back. So those are just some things I remember back in my day. I want you guys to kind of just think of like one fear that you have, or maybe you don't have, but try to if you aren't aware of some fears, I would just say, are there any parts of your life that are limiting you, or you feel limited, or you resist doing for reasons that you don't know? I mean, if you don't want to go out or something consistently, does that say something about why that might be? I mean, there's probably reasons, obviously if people are busy and stuff like that, but like when you don't have anything to do and you choose not to, like what's the reason why? Like it's just another experience. Like if you're not tired, if you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But yeah, so fear of what other people think. That is the big one. We hear it all the time now. We hear everything all the time now with all this, with social media being like so on the forefront, because now it's being mainstream along the marketing industry. So we're just getting hacked away on social media right now by advertising, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's great for them. Like they found their ways of reaching the consumer better, but you know what? Like, what if I'm not trying to be a consumer 24/7? So now you're like setting expectations for like things I need to buy all the time, and that's just my opinion. But anyway, so I fear what other people think of you. I had this, and I still kind of go through it, but I see it as like so like unnecessary, and like I don't know, it's like you have your own life, your own unique set of strengths, weaknesses, interests, dislikes. You have all of that, yet you're willing to sacrifice that because someone else might have an opinion against your belief. Oh man, it's like it just doesn't matter what they think. Like this is something I'm still working on. I gotta tell myself, but for real though, like it doesn't matter what they think, because unless it's like a family member, you can go into specifics. If it's someone that is close to you and it's about a matter or an issue that's like of importance, but like that's one thing. But like just on the general daily day basis, you pass someone on the street, they look at you, it's like, oh, what did that guy think of me? Or you're like in class, you have a interaction with someone, and then you're like, oh, I'm sure I acted this way or whatever. That's just like unnecessary fear of what other people think. And yeah, it really just comes down to like what they think. So like even if a person has an opinion, so like say you come into class, you stumble a little bit, and then you go to your seat, and then you're like, oh no, people are like, they saw this and now they're having opinions about it. Oh my gosh, what are their opinions gonna do to me? Well, luckily their opinions actually don't do any harm. Who would have thought? I mean, they're just words, and words are not actions, so they're not gonna do any harm onto you unless you give them the allowance to. Damn. Teaching myself lessons, I'm teaching the world. Damn. So yeah, I mean, that's just it's a fundamental, and definitely is something that needs to be faced first and just knocked out. I mean, I'm not pro violence, but get it out of here. Get that fear out of here. So, anxiety, the big one, the big word. We got a lot of people out there. How many of y'all get some anxious moments, or some anxious days or weeks? I mean, man, there's a whole spectrum of how you feel. You can feel it half of the day, you can feel it some of the day, it can come up for an hour, it can come up for 10 minutes. Anxiety, when does it get bad? When is it okay? Well, if you're constantly feeling anxious and it's leading you to have fears, more fears than you would normally have throughout the day, small fears, big fears, probably gotta do something about it. Anxiety is a label, psychological label slapped onto a bunch of symptoms, which is, that's its own thing. But what I think of it is just, it's like a sensitivity to the environment, that's what like a lot of anxiety is for some I don't know. For most people, I guess it's like you're just so sensitive to stimulation. So, I guess let me just clarify here. I'm talking about the people that are suffering from anxiety and they're having negative things happen to them because of it. Not necessarily a disorder, but they realize like, oh, I feel I'm anxious, or like they might, not to say it as anxiety, but they'll describe it in its own way and stuff like that. Those are the people I'm talking about. Some people just have it every now and then, but they're just fine, whatever, they go about their day. I'm talking about like the people that actually have, they face issues with it. And it's just like, if you've had it for a while and you just feel it, feels like it's been a chronic thing, it just kind of changes in form. I think it's just the sensitivity factor, like a lot of sounds around you, they they pull you in, and then you feel like, oh, man, you can't focus on what you were just focusing on, and the time rushes by. That's what I'm talking about here. Anxiety is the rushing of time, and it's the perception of it, and it's the sensitivity that you're feeling everything, and the feeling that it's all moving so fast, but in reality, it really doesn't have it doesn't have a pace at all. You give it a pace, because it's just what it is. I mean, there's not much literature on it yet. I'm doing a little bit of research on it right now. I'm going to be running a study similar to it, but it's just a sense of time urgency, really. Not completely, but a big component of it is, and we just got to slow down. And that's why I start off with saying, just breathe the joyous air and embrace each moment that we have, because if you're feeling anxious, then just breathe. You're not breathing. You're thinking about the future, but like, just be right now. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, oh man, I'm feeling like this. Like, it's good to feel, but it's different when you're overwhelmed by it. That's when you just say, just get present, baby. Get present in the moment. And a little bit of mindfulness meditation, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever you need, 10 deep breaths. Just really focusing on them, that can do a whole lot, and that can really calm your mind really quickly. And then but there's just so many different levels of anxiety, but I would love to talk to more people about it, to get their opinions and see how they experience it for themselves. But I think it's definitely has been overlooked in a certain ways, and the medication is good, but there's got to be better ways to treat it head on. And I'm just looking into some more natural ways to organically conquer anxiety. And we obviously know a lot. Mindfulness in the forms of meditation would be good, or I guess the medication, but it's weird. I mean, you can take some supplements. I don't know if that's going to help. Just eating healthy in general is always going to boost your likelihood. I believe fish oils are good for the brain, so those are all just going to boost likelihoods of +1 of just positive outcomes, but that's not going to change anything, though. Yeah, they don't really change anything, but they can at least help put you on a better level to approach these issues. So yeah, this is basically the end of today's episode. I'm glad I was able to touch on fear and anxiety, at least briefly, because I think they are both important factors in people's lives. But I definitely want to come back, and I would love to hear your opinion. I want to come back with maybe like a part 2 segment to this podcast, and maybe talk even longer, or have a guest and kind of bounce ideas off each other regarding anxiety. Maybe if my guest has experienced it, hear their opinion. But I kind of want to go in a little more depth. So for my next episode on anxiety, not necessarily the next podcast I'm going to post, but just in the future, I'm gonna delve in a little bit deeper. I'm gonna come in with maybe some more research, maybe some more background, but kind of pinpoint a little bit more, because I just know, and deep in my heart, I definitely feel that anxiety is something that is on the forefront of people's mental health issues these days, as more of a, not as intense, but more of a debilitating illness, I guess you can call it, for people's day-to-day lives and functioning. So because of that, I really do want to touch upon it in a way that does it justice. So thanks for stopping in and tuning in to this podcast episode. Just like I say, just if you're ever feeling anxious or you're feeling nervous or you're feeling out of control, just take a deep breath and just remind yourself where you are and that your existence is special enough to appreciate. So have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you in the next episode.